Harry's Wife, the Netflix trailer. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and undoubtedly many of you will have watched the recent released Netflix trailer. I have been about other matters just recently, hence the slight delay in me providing you with my analysis of it. Nevertheless, what do we learn from this trailer? Well, of course, there'll be many people commenting on it from a particular view of, oh, it's wonderful, I'm so excited about watching it, i.e. the reaction of the sugars. There'll be other people with an arched eyebrow going, okay, this is setting a particular tone, let's see what the meat of it all is once it's released. Of course, there'll be others that will be looking at it in a critical manner because they don't like Harry's Wife, and their stance will immediately be one of finding fault with what's contained within it. However, the way that I look at it, of course, is to view it through the lens of her narcissism and the responses and reactions of her primary victim, Prince Harry. I will explain to you what we see in this trailer. What is its purpose? What are the images about? What does it seek to achieve with regard to being effectively produced by a narcissist? Now, the trailer itself was created by the technical people that are involved in the formation of it. They're the ones that pull together the stills, the images, etc., choose the music and so forth. However, it does convey, of course, the wants of Harry's wife. It sets a particular tone, which she will have heavily influenced, as we know, given her need to assert control over those around her. So it's going to be particularly interesting to understand and learn what can be seen through this, to understand what it means. So let us play the short trailer to refresh your memories. I'm sure you've watched it several times, and then let's break it down as to what it all means.
Why did you want to make this documentary?
No one sees what's happening behind the closed doors. I had to do everything I could to protect my family.
When the stakes are this high, doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us?
The first thing to observe, of course, is the use of black and white, which is quite ironic, of course, given the black and white thinking of the narcissist. But this is done to give it a pseudo-serious appearance, because, of course, Harry's wife is a pseudo-serious individual. She believes that she's a titan of knowledge and a colossus when it comes to explaining to everybody, the ways of the world. And we're met with that first photograph of where she was wearing the blue dress and the rain was falling and it was backlit, to see them looking at one another. The predator giving the rictus grin to the victim that's under control, and the hapless victim completely unaware of what he's been ensnared by, staring back thinking, this is great, she really does love me. And this is portrayed, of course, to demonstrate them as a complete unit, which in the subconscious mind of Harry's wife is what they are. Harry is simply an extension of her, there to do her bidding, to have his character traits acquired, and to be utilised to suck dry to the extent that her narcissism dictates, although, of course, she never realises any of this, because it happens subconsciously. But this image is put forward to show them as a unified force, them protected from the elements by the umbrella, to demonstrate that the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, as Hamlet might have said, cannot permeate their world, that ensconced in their own bubble, they are reigning supreme. It is a fuck you to the rest of the world to demonstrate, look at us, We're so involved with one another, and nothing that you can throw at us makes an iota of difference. A voice then asks, why did you want to make this documentary? And we then are treated to a number of pictures of the two of them, showing them, for instance, in Africa, I assume, showing them sat on the lawn somewhere, Harry holding a guitar, wasn't aware that he could play it. Usually the case, it's a Fisher-Price one, where he just presses a button and it makes the sounds for him. But there they are, supposedly content and together, just being relatable human beings. Note, of course, the hand that she places upon him, the assertion of control, as a consequence of her physical direction towards him. Then there is a picture of them, which I presume would be taken in Africa, as they're atop some kind of jeep or vehicle. Harry looking content with himself, because of course at this juncture he's in the golden period and he's getting lots of spicy poontang. Harry's wife there, leaning there with her hat and shades on. Then another picture of her close up and him behind, which of course is quite indicative of how she subconsciously sees the relationship, her front and centre, him always following. But again, it's done to convey, look at us together, how happy we are, how in love we are. And then further, a picture of them somewhere jumping up together, mimicking Gwyneth Paltrow in the way that she would jump up naked in her garden and say, look at us, we're having fun, life's great, yippee, we're just like you, we're human beings. And then a picture taken in the kitchen, looking as if they're either getting ready or possibly having come back from a night out. Him there with shirt unbuttoned, braces on, or suspenders, as our American cousins would say, there grinning, hair up, and of course then leaning in to have a smooch, to demonstrate the supposed affection that exists between them. Bear in mind, of course, they are fully aware that there's someone following them around and taking photographs. It's not like it's all taking place on a hidden camera that neither of them know about. Harry's reaction, of course, will be genuine. He does indeed love her. Hers, of course, is driven by the need to control, part of the prime aims. And then thereafter, we get another pictures that show them supposedly so in love together. Dancing, him spinning around like Jack and Rose and Titanic. And then it looks like some pictures taken in a photo booth. Then another picture of them together with one of the dogs, again demonstrating we're kind, straightforward people, so in love with one another. And then a silhouetted or almost silhouetted picture of Harry's wife holding on to a baby bump, whether real or manufactured. Then leave that for you. Then another picture of them staring into the camera. And of course, you can see that smug look on her face as she's drinking in the fuel provided by Harry as he grips her from behind. But it's really a look of conquest that we can see there. The predator having obtained the victim, and there she is feeding some of the dogs down by the river. So this little montage, of course, is all facade management to present them as a couple completely in love, that are so special to one another. Of course, it's all entirely manufactured, all being done driven by her narcissism to create this perfect image to him and to the outside world, to say, we are so in love with one another, we are so special, and notwithstanding all of the nasty behaviours that have been exhibited towards us, we remain together. And of course, against this is the backdrop of the sombre, dramatic music to demonstrate that this is a very serious subject, that these are very serious yet relatable people. After setting the scene of this beautiful couple that's so in love, that are so deserving of one another, it starts to take a more serious and sinister tone. We are then told, somewhat ironically, nobody sees what's happening behind closed doors, which of course, when it's being stated by Harry, it's all about, you don't realise what we have to put up with and how difficult all of this is. Oh, cry me a river, ginger bollocks, and stop the victimhood. A privileged lifestyle, Notwithstanding the fact that you lost your mother, which we all recognise is tragic, but so did your older brother, and he doesn't bang on about it in the way that you do. Of course, you do because you're encouraged by your wife to do so. You're encouraged by your wife to do that because she uses your mother, your dead mother, in two ways. One, she seeks to duplicate her in order to control you, and two, she encourages you to bang on about it in order to make you appear as a victim as she is, because it serves her purposes. Because if you are seen as the victim, then it enables her to be seen as the victim, because you, Harry, are an extension of her. Of course, I mention ironically, because it's invariably the case with a mid-range narcissist that they present a facade to the outside world of being kind, of being empathic, of being trustworthy, of being decent, of being nice, and then behind closed doors, the dark behaviours manifest, the unpleasant behaviours manifest. All of the dirty, downright, despicable, abusive behaviours occur of varying means, ranging from physical and sexual violence through to silent treatments, triangulation, word salads, circular conversations, projection, so on and so forth, all of which you're fully familiar with, having either experienced it yourself or having learned about it through my work. So it is quite ironic for him to say nobody sees what's happening behind closed doors, which also really would include you, Harry, because you don't truly understand what it is that's happening to you. But of course, for the purposes of this trailer, it's being done as a victim claim. We then, of course, receive a picture of what must be Harry's wife engaging in an attempt to cry as she leans forward, holding her head in her hands. Of course, most people, when they cry, they do it in front of a trusted friend or family member, or they do it on their own, in their own privacy, which of course is something that Harry's wife has bleated on about but has actually never actioned. But for her, of course, the consummate, although crap actress, it is necessary for her to put these tears so that they can be shown as part of a pity play. And, oh, look, I just happen to be upset and crying, and you just happen to be here taking photographs or filming it. Isn't that handy? There'll be those listening who may think that's unduly cynical. It's not. It's accuracy. And then, of course, it cuts to a picture of the nemesis and the sound of breaking glass. Harry's wife looking on beyond in her nurse outfit, one of the usual Facade disasters. It shows the Prince and Princess of Wales looking stern, and to suggest that they are very much part of the problem. We then have the looming picture of Harry's wife from the funeral, appearing again as if she is the steadfast victim. There is also then a picture of the press pack, which, I won't mention it now, but I'd encourage you to listen to the forthcoming video, Netflix Revision of History, to find out that there are some porky pies associated with that particular picture. We then have Harry, and we cut to colour, as Harry is sat there, explaining that he had to do everything he could to protect his family. Of course, he has emotional empathy for his family, and as a consequence of the victim narrative that has been fed to him by his wife, he believed that they were under siege. He believed that they were under attack. And therefore, she also, of course, will have said to him, "You don't want me to end up in the way that your late mother did," triangulating him with his dead mother and using a vulnerability against him, part of the manipulation. It paints Harry, of course, as the white knight, riding in justified behaviours to protect his family, because after all, is that not a noble cause? We are then treated to another picture of Harry's wife, which looks like she's engaging in the famed one tear left eye go from the back of a vehicle as Harry looks on. Either that or something's flown into her eye, or she's trying not to laugh at the mug that's looking back at her. And then, of course, in come the shots essentially of the enemy. A packed mall. Soldiers marching in uniform, the press pack, newspapers coming off the print run, and of course then the evolution of Ginger Bollocks from baby into Ginger Bollocks, and then the very much changing faces of Harry's wife as she, of course, discards her ethnicity as she gets older and older, culminating in, of course, the pity play again of Harry's wife supposedly wiping away tears and Harry leaning back. Now, it might be at that juncture that he has encouraged her to undertake a particularly vigorous bout of fellatio, and he's leaning back in ecstasy as she's been gagging and choking, as wiping away the tears, or perhaps it's one again staged pity play. We will find out in due course. We then get to the more nauseating part of it, when we have the overly dramatic observation coming, of course, from none other than Harry's wife. When the stakes are this high, doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us? Well, as I've observed elsewhere, we've heard your story over and over and over again, to the point of exhausted weariness in those that have been exposed to it. Whether it's appeared through your PR puff pieces, in Finding Freedom, the Oprah interview, on and on and on you've banged about your story. You've done it through archetypes, which has essentially been your checklist of getting rid of all of those things that have been said about you. And here we are again. It's all about Harry's wife, making it seem like you should hear from us, because what it should be really said is, I have been repeatedly challenged as a consequence of people not doing what I want. Therefore, I'm about to revise history in order to assert control over them. And then, of course, it fades to Harry and Harry's wife telling us that it's coming soon, only on Netflix. There you have a breakdown, in effect, frame by frame, of what's gone on in that trailer. Its purpose is, of course, to make it seem dramatic, to make it seem like it's the television event of the year. But all it does is try and set up the stage through facade management of them being a huge couple in love that were then treated very badly by the British establishment, including, of course, the nemesis and Big Willie Styley, the one who got away, and thus now saying, essentially, you want to hear it from us. Anybody with an iota of sense, brain power, who's been watching her behaviours will know that this is just the pursuit of the prime aim through the assertion of control and drawing of fuel by rewriting the narrative, as we often hear from her truth. So much in the trailer, as I've broken down for you, which you can understand so much more about by looking at it through the prism of her narcissism. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.